Here we go, that's better. Because that thing will blow. All right, I'm gonna turn my phone off. I may fix a cup of coffee. I'm always thirsty these days. Lucy, we're both on diets. We're taking, she's taking Ozempic, I'm taking Mounjaro.
Uh-huh.
And I've lost nearly 40 pounds.
Wow.
28.
But I just have to keep hydrated all the time. I'm just always thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for meeting with us this morning.
Our pleasure.
This has been a long few days, long week, and I can imagine what it is for you guys.
Full of lots of surprises.
Yeah.
We're in the 7th ring of hell.
So the reason we made the trip down here today is I know you spoke to Alex, I think.
Yeah, Alex, yeah.
Yeah, with Orange County, and may have spoke to Corporal Ilgen that works with us.
Is he this tall, slim guy?
No,
Was
he's
he at Orange County
bald.
also?
He was. I think you may have talked to him out in the parking lot in Orange County.
Yeah.
Yeah, bald guy, probably wearing a SWAT shirt.
No, that didn't work. That I didn't. There was somebody else I thought was from Kissimmee PD, but and I thought actually you were him, but obviously not.
So
You're better looking than he is.
I appreciate it. But since I'm the lead detective and he's my partner in the case, we kind of want to get eyes and talk to everybody that's involved. That's the only reason.
Expecting you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason we're here is basically try to get a background of what you know about Stefan and Jennifer's relationship and that sort of thing and stuff like that. So we can do it one of two ways. I can just give you guys the floor and you can let us know what their dynamic was, or I can do it question and answer wise, whatever's more comfortable for you.
Well, if you do it question and answer wise, you'll get the answers that you wanted. If you let us sit here and ramble on for half an hour, you may not get what you want. You still have to ask the question.
Fair enough for me.
We can fill in the gaps.
Yes.
All right. So, any idea how long Stefan and Jen have been in a relationship?
7 years.
7 years.
7 to 8 years, somewhere in there.
Okay. And was it constant throughout those 7 and 8 years, or on and off, or?
They were friends first, close friends first, and then it evolved into a romantic relationship. I think probably the first 18 months was just friendship, and then it changed from there. And no, we did not like the relationship.
Why not?
Didn't approve of her.
No.
Why
She was
is
a
that?
bad influence on it because of her,
Drugs.
well, drugs plus I think she was taking medications for depression, anxiety, what have you, and I just didn't feel that she was going to be a good influence for him.
She's bipolar. She's bisexual. She's a drug addict. She had a young child. The family was disapproving, and she was sharing those drugs with Stefan. And I don't approve of vaping. We don't do any drugs. We don't even drink. I can't even take specified medication for pain because my body rejects them, and I get really, really sick from them. So, I mean, went through open heart surgery on Tylenol.
Wow.
So it's
And they both, they were
She's
both,
nice. She's nice.
they slept all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a hard enough time dealing with Stefan sleeping all the time, and now he's got a relationship with somebody else that does it as well. It's just like they were feeding off of each other, and none of it in a positive way. And that's why I disapprove. I disapprove of a lot of Stefan's
Well, that's the only
people.
thing. Yeah, only thing her mother and I approved of together was the fact that we didn't approve of the relationship, because if Jen started spiraling down one of her holes of depression, she took Stefan with him. If he was depressed, he brought her in, and it was just always like a balancing act with those two. This is not good. It's not a good dynamic.
You know, when you said they were always sleeping, like constantly,
Yeah.
were they taking medicine to go sleeping, or
No.
they were just?
They were just
Well-
they would faked out.
Yeah. Well, Stefan has a sleeping disorder, sleep apnea, and so he's been tested for it, and his he would be up all night and sleep all day.
Okay.
Type of deal. And we really didn't have that much physical interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that we just observed from a distance, and trying to talk to Stefan at times, but we just really didn't have any social activity with them to speak of.
When Stefan would be here in town, like, what would his routine be? Would he is he a homebody, or?
He locked himself in his room, and we would see him maybe once in a while, tell him dinner's ready, but he was constantly in his room all the time.
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer.
Yeah, he's
He
obsessed
spent a
with
lot
all
of
that
time
stuff.
doing that. A lot of time learning the new books as they came out. A lot of time online. He did go play Warhammer with the guys once a week. Tried to get him to go to the beach. Tried to get him to go to church. Tried to get him to go shooting with us. No.
Did he give an excuse why that he wouldn't want to
Just
go?
didn't feel like it.
Just no motivation.
And he walked around with Jen on the phone on FaceTime all the time. I would be in the kitchen, I would look up and I would see Jen, and she's like, and I'd look at her and her eyes are also, I said, Jen, are you baked? And she says, oh yeah. I'm like,
And this is recently or
that
throughout the
was
years?
in the last few weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't. I brought him back in December because I was supporting him living there, and I didn't know that I was supporting the whole family.
Mhm.
Again, Stefan's great at omitting information and not being transparent with me, and I just reached a point. I said, I can't afford to have you working for Disney, and there's always a deficit in his budget for one reason or another. But somehow he had expensive toys and what have you, and where the money came for that, he didn't even after he arrived here. Packages were arriving. I said, well, I'm not giving him any money. Where the hell is it? Stefan, it's money I saved. And I'm sitting here going, Bohica. You know what Bohica is? It's an acronym. Bend over, here it comes again. Mm-hmm. And, he called me up and said, well, I'm short in funds. Can you, Zell me $150, send him that. But meanwhile, now he's telling me he's got money in savings, which I didn't believe. Mm-hmm. So where the money was coming from, I have no idea. But these packages just kept arriving.
When you would support him, how would you get him money?
I sell it.
Okay.
And I paid him, Juan charged Jen rent, and then in November of 2022, the reason why I know that because I looked it up the other day. I said, how far back have I been paying rent there? But he started charging Stefan rent, even though he was sharing a room with Jen. Mm-hmm. And then they decided that they weren't going to be in a relationship anymore, and he took over a full room, and now I had to pay $600. And so this just kept escalating. He wasn't taking care of his car. I was waiting for that shoe to drop. So finally I said, I can't afford you to live there anymore, and I moved him back here. Mm-hmm. And I thought, we had hoped that the year that he had spent at Disney, that he had matured and was now, accepting responsibility and had a disciplined routine, and that I could bring him back here and help him maybe develop into something with a better career path than working for Disney forever and not getting anywhere, because at $30,000 a year he couldn't support himself if he wanted to live on his own.
Right.
And that turned out to be a huge disappointment, because he fell right back into his same MO. Locked himself in his room, wouldn't help us around the house, and we were like on eggshells, because when he was here, it was always tension because of his sleep disorder, and the dogs obviously are not the quietest things in the world.
Right.
And they have their routine, we have our routine, so we let them out in the evening, and it's chaos with them. We let them out in the morning, it's chaos, but for the most of the time, they're at feeding time, they're quiet, But again, that would disturb him, and didn't want to cause a flare up with him.
So when it would disturb him with the dogs, was that during the daytime, or was him trying to sleep at night?
Oh, it could be any time.
Oh, okay.
If anybody comes to the door, get a package, a rat farts in the yard, doesn't matter, they hear it.
So if he's sleeping during the day and we're doing our daily routine, you know, there's going to be distract. If I come in the house, they're going, hey, I'm home. You know, they'd be a lot more.
Right.
So, but you know, I would just hope that, you know, he was soundly sleeping and that he would just sleep through it. But occasionally you would hear a bark out from him.
Or if he had his headphones on.
Yeah.
So when you said you brought him back in December, do you remember when? First part of December, end of December?
I'd have to look up. It'd be early part of December because I was trying to get him out of there. I thought it was the end of November. It could have been at the very end of November or the very first part of December because I didn't want to owe Juan another month's rent. I wanted him out of there.
But did he mention if they were split up at that time or if they were still?
Well, they were supposed to be officially broken up.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever say why they broke up?
They just, well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, Jen told me as recently as last week she didn't want him as a partner. Mm-hmm. She realized that he was not going to be a good partner, but I assume that they both recognized that they wanted to go their separate ways. And I would say that occurred several months before because there was one time he mentioned he was socializing with somebody at Disney and that didn't go over well or something. She didn't like that. So
I told him, we both told him he would never get into a healthy relationship until he got away from her because what are you going to do? You're renting a room, you're going to bring a new woman into your room with your ex in the next room? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a bad recipe.
Did this ever happen within the last 7 years? Did they break up and get back together and that sort of thing? Or
I don't think so.
I seem to recollect that there was there might have been a pause in that relationship, maybe to the extent of how involved the relationship was, and maybe it became more social than more of a relationship type of thing. Mm-hmm. But again, clueless as to exactly the extent of how involved the relationship really was. I mean, I always thought it was just good friends and you know, sex with benefit type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how committed they were to one another.
And that was going on all the way up until December?
Well, actually, before December, because like I said, when he went into the room on his own, that basically was probably the time that the relationship ended. So, do you remember when that was? You said November? Yeah, I'm going to try to. Let's see. He left in December, maybe 3 or 4 months before he pulled out of there. I think only paid 3 or 4 months at 600, maybe 3 months. I'd have to look it up. Do you know if when he came back here in December, was he ever making trips back to Kissimmee at all? There was I think 3 occasions he went back. This last trip, with when all this stuff happened, a trip before that, and then he went back for Thanksgiving, or he was there for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, so he wasn't invited to the family events, and but he was there at that time. Okay. I'm assuming just visiting Jen, or was he visiting other people?
He was visiting Jen.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who else he would be associated with at that time.
Okay.
I don't think he had any relationships outside of Jen. Mm-hmm. Maybe I think there was a time or two he mentioned that he was going to go out with some cast members after work.
Mm-hmm. But Bear was one of them.
Yeah, but that's the only time.
Has he ever lived in Kissimmee prior to meeting Jen?
No.
Okay, always here in Northport, or has he lived out elsewhere?
Well, we moved here in May of 2020, so he was always at our home there, or he lived here, and then we finally got him out of here, and there was an opportunity for him to go live in Kissimmee.
Okay. But with Jen is when he went to Kissimmee?
Yeah, not on his own.
They were both supposed to be working at Disney together, but she can't keep a job.
Mm-hmm. Do you know why?
Because they're the bipolar.
Well,
and she doesn't want to lose her state benefits.
But depending on the type of work, she had back issues or something, so she couldn't do physical things. And now she did have a job as a concierge that didn't require any pressure or stress on her back or something. But there was always something that prevented her from working. Couldn't do dog sitting or whatever job it was. It would last no more than 2 weeks, and then she'd be back
and she was
crashing
going to go to
home.
school for nursing, and I'm thinking, oh my God, save the world.
Well, then she was going to get into graphic design.
Oh yeah.
Dad bought her an Apple computer thinking she was going to take these classes or online, and that didn't last long either.
And you're hearing this from
Her.
Stefan? Oh, from both of them. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And everything that we're basically telling you is a lot of it's hearsay from what we were told. We didn't physically observe this, any of this stuff. Very, very little interaction with them. And then when they were here, they were either in Stefan's room. Maddie always slept with Debbie, but Maddie floated around here, played with the dogs, did things that little girls do with Heavy.
We did some arts and crafts together.
You were teaching her knitting? Crocheting, yeah.
So that was going to be my next question. So Jen and Maddie and Stefan came here to visit
Yeah.
at some point, or a few times maybe.
Yeah. Well, if he was here, living here, she would actually come down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, very few trips. The last trip we saw them was we didn't see them, I think we saw them early 2023, and then maybe for Thanksgiving 2022.
Okay. And then when they were here, you're saying Stefan and Jen would sleep in or would hang out in Stefan's room, and then Maddie would sleep with you, or be
Yeah.
with you? Okay. Why is that? Do you know?
Number one, he's a slob. Number two, he only has a queen-size bed.
Okay.
And number three, I didn't think it was a healthy environment. They were going to have her sleeping on the floor, on a sleeping bag. And I said, I have a king-size bed. I sleep on 36 inches of it. There's a whole side of a bed. Why can't she be comfortable? So I just insisted that she come in with me, and I had the dogs with me. So if she got up, what Jen used to tell me was, she would wake up in the middle of the night, and she'd come and climb in bed with them. I said, well, you're gonna have the dogs here. If you get out of bed, you're gonna rouse the dogs up.
I got you. Did they ever talk about their sleeping arrangements at their house in Kissimmee?
Just what I just told you, that if she had a bad dream or something, she would come in, and I told her, as Maddie got older, because we've known Maddie for 7 years, we've watched her grow up. I mean, this is very hard, but she, cute, sweet girl, she was, but then she started, in the last year, she started showing signs of bipolar as well. And Jen was horrified by that. They were butting heads like two rams. They were fighting all the time, and they're presenting a very different family dynamic than what they told us was going on.
And you witnessed them butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Stefan. I would hear them going at each other in the background. That's and I would say, "What's going on?" Well, Maddie and Jenny are at it again, and I gotta go break this up. So he would go be the peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty. She went to puberty. She started puberty at 11.
Right.
It's hormones in me, but anyhow, she developed quickly, became pretty precocious, and other than that, I don't think she had a lot of friends at school. I don't think that she was a very social person. She had been, if you remember, Stefan and Jen both told us that after she began developing physically, that there were some boys at school last year that would push her up against the wall and grab a feel and bully her. And they were having a hard time with the school getting it stopped.
But anyway, when they visited here, she was either out here or they were watching movies together. But when it came to sleeping time, she was definitely in Deb's room.
Okay. Any time where either Jen and Maddie would be sleeping in that room without Stefan, or?
No.
Okay, so the only person that would separate from them would be Maddie when she was sleeping with you.
And like I say, she was always floating around because she was bored. Looking for something
And
to do
before
here.
that, as you see the holes, we had a TV there, and we didn't have one in my room that was big, very big, but we moved that one. So I would sit out here with Maddie when they were in there, and we'd watch TV together too. We even got the Disney Channel for her, so she'd have it. And
Do you know if Maddie or Jen, when they were sleeping here, did they take medicine at night or anything like that you know of?
no,
Or did Stefan take any? Has he been prescribed any medication?
he has been prescribed an anti-anxiety medication and a ADHD medication. He's got Adderall and something, clomidine, for sleeping. I don't know what the first part of it is, but
really didn't know his medical routines at all, hers or Jen's, other than the fact that
She was always changing medications.
she was, I think, taking medication for depressant and
Bipolar.
anxiety and bipolar, but I don't know anything beyond that.
She had a prescription for medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana.
And so she vaped all the time, and she shared it with Stefan. I wouldn't allow it in my house. I don't like the smell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you're gonna do that, you have to be outside. You can't bring it in here.
Now, after Stefan moved back here in December and he made the trips back to Kissimmee, would he drive the silver car, your
No, that's
car?
the first time he ever drove that.
No. He drove the silver car
Oh, that's
because
right.
his car was in dire need of servicing. So I said, last thing I wanted to do is go 2 hours north and be stranded, and now I'm dealing with a disabled car.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that car was up in maintenance, so I let him drive that car.
What's wrong with his car?
It's 1,000 miles over service. The brake jobs need to be done. He hasn't taken care of that car at all. It's probably going to need about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of repair on it. I'm sure if I take it in, I'm sure it's going to be $2,000 to $3,000. AC was been acting up on it, but I didn't trust it for long trips. If he was just commuting to, if he was a Kissimmee commuting to Disney, that's one thing, but not long trips.
Right.
Matter of fact, I had him tow it down here, not drive it down.
Got it. So, is it safe to say this last time he came, and then maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas is when he took the silver car, or Thanksgiving?
So this last time, then he made it. When he came down here, he made a trip. When he first got down here, he made another trip back to get more stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was one trip, and
That
then
was
there
true.
was the trip in between. I guess he went up for Christmas, because I think he was here for Thanksgiving. And then there was this most recent trip. So as far as I know, I think it was just 3 trips.
Now, when he would come back from there, would he have like loads of stuff? Like, I don't want to say furniture because there wasn't furniture.
It would just
but-
be leftover stuff that,
It's
for whatever reason, he had a 10-foot truck,
Mhm.
and just the front end of it and all of it, the back was available.
So he rented a moving truck to grab.
I rented it.
Oh, okay.
It was more truck than he needed, and why he didn't get everything he had was ridiculous, because basically they came down to his typical modus operandi. He waited till the last minute, and then didn't have enough time to put stuff up there or whatever, but he didn't bring everything back with him.
Got it. Did he say why he didn't grab his stuff?
He didn't have to.
We know.
Well, basically, if he did, it wasn't enough. He didn't have enough time. He's like, bullshit. He had weeks to plan for this. I kept on him about that. He's completely opposite me. I start to organize stuff and get stuff done, not wait till the last minute, but he waited until the last minute. Very frustrating.
How long was he in Kissimmee when he made these trips?
Well, he stayed up there. If he went up there, he was up there for the day. Maybe he stayed up there a day or two.
Usually. 2 nights,
No
3
no
days.
rush to get back. No urgency to come back.
This last time he went up here, or to Kissimmee, did he say why he was going to Kissimmee?
Her birthday.
Her birthday. Okay. Did he say he was invited to a party or anything like that, or?
I think he
Maddie
was
called and
asked
him
to
to please
come.
come.
And you heard
I-
Maddie call? Okay.
Yes.
And do you remember when that was? Because I know she had a party on Sunday.
Mhm.
Do you know
Was
when?
it Saturday,
I guess.
or was it?
To make sure he was coming.
Something odd on Saturday,
What do you-
I don't know if was the invite on Saturday, or did he just say Sunday I'm going to Kissimmee?
No, we knew. I knew the week before because I found
Okay.
the gifts for Maddie.
Okay. He seemed to be very upset. Matter of fact, he came to me and said, "Do you have any anxiety medication?" I go, "No, sorry, don't have anything like that. Everything I have is for diabetes or heart." And then he went to Debbie and she said, "I don't have any." And then he came back and said, "Well, I found some 4-year-old stuff." I said, Oh, okay, but he was suffering from high anxiety, man. I don't know what he was stressed out about.
When was this?
Sometime in the evening. I don't know.
Oh, Saturday or
Saturday.
days prior to that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he's making, and then I guess the medication worked, and again he looked like he was like very stressed out.
Have you ever seen him like that before?
Yes, when he was very stressed out, and it was like better tiptoe. Not sure if he's going to blow up or not. You know, he seemed like he was calm enough, but you know, I didn't know if anything could trigger him or not.
Did it seem like he was more in fear of something, or scared of something, or just?
It was a different. Other than being really upset about something, he looked like he was stressed out over something. And obviously, he never shared any of his feelings with us, and I had no idea it was stressing him out. But something really had him upset.
Angry upset, or just not that type of upset?
Not angry upset, but
Okay.
just something worrisome. Just seemed like there was something that was really preying on him, and it was not settling well with him.
And that's when he told you guys he was going to Kissimmee, or did he tell mom prior to that?
Well, he was making plans to go to Kissimmee, and and I don't know exactly when this happened, whether he told me on Saturday, but I knew he was leaving Sunday because we talked about the expense of that trip, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for the trip, because I was done paying for this stuff, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for it. I said, well, go down and fill up the car, and I'll take care of that. That would be enough gas for him to get up and get back, because that's all he was going to do. And so I'm assuming that the plans were submitted on Saturday, but you're telling me that you knew about it a week in advance, and maybe he started planning that a week in advance, but I wasn't aware of it until the last minute.
But he didn't have this fearful reaction earlier that week. It was just that Saturday.
Yeah,
Did he say how long he planned on staying in Kissimmee?
a week.
A week.
Yeah, I was planning we were planning on him to be gone for a week because we were welcoming the break.
Got it.
What did you buy her as a gift? You said you got her a gift?
I had ordered something, and they looked marvelous, but then I got it, and I think this is really probably too juvenile for me to wear. It's called Mermaid's Beads, and it's made out of sea glass, and it was a dual colored bracelet, and they had the stud earrings and the same thing, and they were kind of opalescent. So they're really neat. It's by No Goo, and it's mermaid tears. But I said, these are still in the box. I've never even worn them. I said, why spend money on something? This is something she would really like, because I knew her enough to know this was something right up her alley. And I said, this is $90 worth of a gift, that's just going to sit where it could be doing good someplace, somebody could enjoy it. So just gave him the boxes and said, are you going to gift wrap them? He said, no, I'll just take them like this. So.
How did you guys come to hear about everything that happened on Monday?
So I tried reaching Stefan. He called me when he got to Kissimmee Sunday.
Any idea when he called you?
I know exactly because I wrote out the timeline this morning.
Okay.
6:48 p.m.
Okay.
But then I noticed on some pass that he was out around 8:30, 8:48, and there were two some pass tolls. And I said, well, maybe they had gone out or something. But I said, okay, that's a little weird. So that I tried to get a hold of him several times Monday morning, or maybe noonish or so, maybe as late as 2:30ish or something, and then I get a call from him at 3:17, and his voice sounded a little off to me. I thought, well, maybe he was just tired, and then maybe he didn't get a good night's sleep or what have you. And then during that conversation, he says, "Oh, by the way, I had a flat tire." Radar goes up. I go, "What do you mean you had a flat tire?" where could you have gotten a flat tire? And I'm not gonna say you can't pick up a flat tire anywhere, but he's just driving from here to the apartment and shouldn't be driving anywhere else per se. Oh, I just got a flat tire. Okay, where? 192. And then he described the fact that the tire was so flat that he ran the rubber off the wheel. Okay, 192, plenty of places to pull over, and you're driving the rubber off the wheel? So then he described that he was changing the tire and that didn't have it set right, and the jack collapsed somewhat and trapped his thumb between the frame and the jack and did hurt himself severely. And I think the conversation lasted about 3 minutes, and I said, well, let's get the car into a tire place and see what's going to cost to repair it. And I'm sitting there counting, it's going to cost me several $100s for this now. And then that was it. And then 4:54, I'm just getting out of the car, meeting a customer, I'm going to take him into a house, and he calls, and he says, I'm en route to Maddie's grandmother. There's been an occurrence. I said, well, that's a strange word to use, but okay. And then I'm thinking, well, this is weird. 2 events in one afternoon, the flat tire and now this. And so he said, well, I took Maddie to school this morning, and I dropped her off just down from the school because Maddie didn't want to be seen dropped off in front of the school because I'm not driving a cool enough car. I said, okay, well, understand that, teenager, peer pressure, what have you. And he said, I watched her walk towards the school down the rearview mirror as I pulled away. And so then he goes on to describe that she wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school. Like, we went to pick her up, and she wasn't there. Then we come to find out she had been at school all day. And then he starts to describe that the area is a high abduction area. That kids are stolen for abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking, and that there's a good chance that she's been abducted. You know, typical questions. Well, what have you done to try to locate her? Have you contacted her old friends, social media? Where's her phone? Oh, she left her phone at home. Oh, okay. Yeah, she does that from time to time. And it was a 3-minute conversation, and he was sobbing. He was really sounded upset that he was holding himself responsible for this. Same routine that he did in that Tuesday interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me. And it was exactly the same routine, same explanation, the whole deal. And so then I kept in touch with them throughout the evening because they were waiting for police to show up, and it was hours, and I just kept checking in, any news, and then that was it until Tuesday. And then I didn't talk to him again until Tuesday, maybe it was the afternoon, and again, just trying to get an update, what's going on. And then as the day expanded, then police were now more involved, and there's interaction between, I guess, your department and the two of them.
Backtracking to Monday, so you talked to him, you said you tried calling him. When you tried calling him, did the call go right to voicemail, or did it ring a few times?
Combination of all of that. I mean, let me get my notepad.
And by the way, Jim had mentioned several times that Maddie was going through a phase where she didn't want to look uncool, and that it had become their routine to drop her off 1 block from school and pick her up 1 block from school.
And she told you this?
Yes. And never said anything about it being a high traffic area or anything like that. She just said, it's a straight shot. We can see the school. There's an overpass. We make sure nobody's in the overpass, hanging out. And so we just watch. And then Stefan said he took her by himself. And then in the interview, Jen said, we dropped him off. She said it several times. And so I don't know if Do you want any conjecture, or no? The conjecture is that she and Maddie are the same size.
Mm-hmm.
That she wore Maddie's clothes with the hoodie up to show, to cover the dark hair instead of the light hair. And that was Jen we saw sitting at the church in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, from what we've heard, Maddie was already gone by that time.
Mm-hmm.
So this elaborate charade put on for everybody's benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And she's cool, calm, and collected, and he's a sobbing, wet mess.
So my call to him at 2:25 was 2 seconds, so no connection.
Gotcha.
And then he called me at 3:17, and that conversation lasted 3 minutes.
And you said he was upset at that time, or he seemed.
No, he seemed off, and I said, well, maybe, you know, the anxiety medications or what have you was keeping him somewhat kind of flat, monotone in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing upbeat about it. And then, matter of factly, I had a flat tire. We talked about that, and then.
Did he plan on taking the car to a tire shop? Did you guys
I
confirm
told
that
him.
plan? Or
I told him to. I said, he's driving on a donut. And we both confirmed that, you know, the donut wouldn't last long and that, you know, he needed to get that quickly replaced. And I expected him to do it. I didn't expect for him to do it that day because that's not Stefan's modus operandi. I expected him to do it the next day. So then I didn't hear from him until he called me at 4:54.
Mm-hmm.
And that conversation lasted 3 minutes. And, you know, as I said, I heard this story about him dropping her off at school and the whole abduction thing, and I heard that even more later in the evening. But I thought to myself, how strange these two events happened, and within a short time of one another that afternoon.
Did you question him about it or no?
No, I didn't think about it. You know, when the call came in, he starts telling me that this is just a thought I had. It's kind of strange that coincidence that there were two incidents like that in that afternoon.
Okay. So moving on, you spoke to him around 4-ish, and that's when he said Maddie's gone missing.
Yeah, more close to 5.
Okay. And then you didn't speak to him again until the following day, is that
No,
correct?
I talked to him for 7 minutes at 6:02.
Okay.
6:02, and then again for 5 minutes at 6:22.
And is that just to get updates, or
Yeah.
what's the conversation you're having?
Well,
with him
it was
during
me
that time?
he called me at 6:02, and again, just briefing me, letting me know what's going on. There was an out call at 2 minutes at 6:18, and then another one at 6:22 for 5 minutes, and both of those I was making the calls. And then nothing again until Tuesday at 12:16, 3 seconds there, and then out at 6:32, 1 minute. I'm not even sure if we had even a conversation. So that was, and then after that, no more calls from his phone. Now Jen's calling me on her phone.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
There was a conversation about whether the police wanted his phone and whether he should give it to him. And I said, do you have any reason not to? Mm-hmm. And he said, no. And I said, then give me your phone. Let's get this cleared up, you know. What really upset me was in one of the conversations I had with him when it became apparent that he was going to be a person of interest, I said, well, you had your phone, you can document where you've been. Mm-hmm. Well, I left my phone at home. Okay, let's backtrack. Were you anywhere that a camera could have caught you? Where'd you go? And it didn't sound like he went anywhere that a camera could track him in. So I said, well,
The vape store.
well, I understand that, but I'm not sure, you know, where a camera would have been. But, you know, thinking he was innocent, you know, trying to help, you know, pinpoint where he was so he could document his whereabouts, because of my understanding there was a 2-hour gap between when he supposedly dropped her off
Stop.
and then when he returned home, because he said he called Jen at 10:17. And in fact, my understanding why he called Jen at 10:17 was to get back into the community because she had to call him in. He didn't have his clicker.
Okay. Is he tech savvy?
My impression, no, but I'm hearing, hearsay from other people that he may have been, but when he told me that he was doing a OS update on his phone and it accidentally wiped out his phone, I cried bullshit. But there's always that one off. It could be, but when he starts saying, well, yeah, I accidentally pressed the button to reset it, then I knew it was bullshit. That's not in the process of an OS update. You just say, yes, go ahead and do it, and you leave it alone, and it updates it and lets you know that your phone's been updated. End of story. None of this other bullshit.
Do you pay for his phone, or does he pay for it?
I pay for it.
Did you want this coffee?
Yeah, would you put some cream in it? Blonde like you, and duke it in the microwave for 38 seconds.
How did you get to Kissimmee? Like, what made you go to Kissimmee?
Okay, so I got a call. I got a call at 9:30, and then I think that's when that discussion took place about whether to give this phone to the police or not. I said, you haven't got any issue with it, give him the phone. Give him the phone. And then I got a call, and then I went to bed. I was 10-ish something. I'm all tucked into bed. I got the boys with me, and I may have been partially asleep because I had my phone on silent, and then I woke up because the phone was vibrating, and then my watch would have been in the office. So the phone was vibrating. By the time I got it, there was no connect. So then that was at 10:42, and then I made an out call at 10:43, and then the conversation was about, you need to come up here.
And who says that?
They both did because they were on speaker.
Okay.
And Stefan said, hey, you need to come up here. And I said, okay. I said, so we discussed, they were being kicked out. They didn't have a place to stay. So I said, well, we need to figure out where to go for, where to stay, what have you. And so I'm jumping in the shower, packing a bag, talking to Deb, making plans to leave, and which I did it just after midnight. I tried to make a call to them at 11:56. It went to voicemail, and then I called her back at, now we're into Wednesday, so I called her back at 12 to let them know I was on my way. And then I also called my wife because when I left, the front door, if you notice, has an electronic keypad on it. That's why I think a drink.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
It wasn't working, and it's been it's electronic, and it's batteries in there since the day we moved here, so 4 years old. So when I tried to lock it, it's not flashing or anything. I did get it to lock, but I wanted her to know that, hey, if you go out, you're going to have to come back in through the garage door, and the only way to do that if you had a clicker in your remote in your visor, but you weren't going to be able to get in through the front door. And then I got a call from them at 1:18. Lasted for 2 minutes, and then at 1:51, 50 seconds, because I arrived at the hotel.
What were the conversation at the 118 area? What was that conversation about?
Just confirmation of where they were and where we were staying and the address of the hotel, because it was out off of west of Disney off the 429.
And from what I understand, did you pay for the hotel or did they pay for it?
They paid for theirs, and I paid for mine, but then it said a pet-friendly hotel, pet-friendly if you pay $150 for the night. Okay, so, all right, so I paid for the dog to stay.
Okay, their dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I actually reimbursed her for it.
All right, and when you got to the hotel, you had conversations with Jen and Stefan, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we were just greeting, gave Stefan a hug and, chit-chatted for a few minutes. I was busy checking in because they had already completed their check-in. They went up to their room. They were on the opposite end of me, but we were on the same floor. I went out to the car to park my car, get my stuff, and bring it in and go to my room. And then I went to their room, spent about 10 minutes with them, no more than 15, and then I was heading back to my room to go to bed. What
were the conversations when you were in their room?
I don't really recall. It was just everybody settled in, everybody okay. We'll just meet in the morning and see what unfolds at that time. I'm sure there was going to be some more interviews or what have you. I plan to go to the office. Our corporate office is in Orlando, so I planned to go. So I was up 6:30, 7ish or so. 6:30. Then I left the hotel around 7:30 to go to the office.
Okay. When you left to go to the office, was Stephen and Jen still there?
As far as I know, I don't know. I come to find out later when I got a phone call from Jen around 10 o'clock, 9:48 or so, I think it was. 9:49, she called me, it lasted for about a minute to ask me if Stefan was with me. I go, no. Well, he's not here. How long has he been gone? Maybe 25 minutes. I said, okay, well, all right, maybe he's out running around, whatever. So then I get a call from her about at 10:17. Don't recall what that conversation was about. Then there was another call, 10:47, and I think, matter of fact, I try to recall what time we talked about his not being there, and then I called back and said, I told her, I said, go down to the lobby. If he was gone for 25 minutes, go down to the lobby. Maybe he's down there. Seemed logical. And then after I hung up, I called her back and said, are your car keys there? And she said, no. I said, okay, interesting. So then I get a call back from her later and saying that the detective had called and said they were going to come over within the hour to visit with them. And I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I left the office and drove over there and thinking, well, he's going to be in a world of hurt if he's not there when they come back because they'll probably put a bolo out on him and then just decide to arrest him because he's wandering around. What's he doing? So
when you got back, was he there?
No, he didn't show up for another 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. And then do you know if Jen's car has a GPS in it? Nav system?
It does, yes.
Okay, well, that's part of his lie. So, he came back in and said, well, I got lost in the back roads of Disney, no GPS and what have you. And I didn't think about this till later. I thought, wait a minute, Jen's got a newer car. Most of them have a GPS system in it. So because he didn't have a phone, and obviously he didn't have hers, he was trying to wind his way back to the hotel, but couldn't because he didn't have a GPS when in fact he did have a GPS.
Now there was talks of that he may have came here that morning.
Well, so when I finally got in to see Alex Wednesday evening, he said, what exit do you get off at when you come back to Northport? Tested my exit numbers, and I said, I think it's 179, Toledo Blade. And he said, did you know that Stefan was in Northport at 7:45 that morning? I said, really? No, I didn't. Then I later learned it was really 6:30ish, which meant that, and I had my timeline all screwed up. I thought they parted their room at 3:30 when in fact it was more like 2:30. So I was thinking, gosh, I just went to bed, and then he turned around and got out of there and went down to Northport. But when I learned about that, I couldn't imagine why. And then Alex is telling me, well, we have information that he went to your storage unit. So that led us down a rat hole, and then I found out that was completely wrong. That access storage facility had been accessed for 2 weeks. And that was me going to put the lock back on that I had incorrectly relocked my unit 2 weeks ago, now almost 3 weeks ago. So that was wrong. The time of his entering Northport was wrong. It was really an hour earlier, hour and 15 minutes earlier, and he never went access the storage unit. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, he must have been really disappointed if he was coming to this house because he couldn't get in the front door, and that door was locked, and he knew that if he came in, chances are he would put the dogs on high alert and set them off, which would have got her up. And I asked her, I said, what would you have done if Stefan was standing in the middle of the house and you weren't expecting him? It's like, what are you doing here? And God knows what would have taken place at that point and why he was here.
Where's your dad? Why are you here?
Why did I go to Orlando? Because I can tell you the amount of time I spent with him, accurately, 3 occasions, was a total of 30, 35 minutes. It's the amount of time that I had spent with him. Because when he got back to that hotel room, the both of them went back to bed, and they slept, and there was no waking the dead. And up until 2 o'clock, I'm trying to get him to eat something. Jen and I went down and had some lunch, but I have no idea why he was here, other than to get in the house to get something, maybe try to steal some money from me, maybe steal something of value to sell it, what have you. I had no idea.
So on Tuesday, when he eventually made it back to the hotel, you're saying you and Jen went to go eat, but Stefan didn't want to go?
No, you couldn't wake him up. He was out of it, dead to the world.
Okay. Now, I was told by Northport PD when they came and talked to, I'm assuming you, one night, that you may have mentioned the dogs barking sometime throughout the night.
They went on high alert and I looked at my watch because I was in here alone. 3:19 in the morning. I had all 5 of them sleeping with me since he wasn't here to sleep with the boys. They all went from dead asleep to springing up in the air and standing on all 4 feet, all of them looking at my window and giving the war bark. That's not a war bark. That's a wolf.
Yeah.
When they do it, it's a sound that will make your skin
Wake the dead.
goosebumps. And I didn't have the gun in my room. I don't usually keep it in there. I had to come and look for a flashlight. I let all the dogs out here. And then I did not unlock the security lock on the door. I just took the flashlight and went like this to see if there was a critter in the yard. We have bobcats, we have all kinds of stuff out here. So, didn't see anything in the yard. Didn't see anything out the front. Went and looked through the office window. Didn't see anything out there. So, didn't see a car. I thought, okay, well, we must have had a critter, and I just missed it. You know, they dig holes and come under the fence and drive the dogs nuts. Rabbits especially, we had one last night.
And you're saying that your code to the storage facility was not used on that Tuesday?
No, the storage unit, Northport Police told me was, they misread it, but they said the last access, because I didn't think Stefan had my access code unless when we were there in December he decided to memorize it, and I keep it in my contacts, because obviously I don't use it that often. I'm not going to commit to memory, but I was there 2 weeks ago because they called me up and said, hey, you know, we're doing an audit. We got an audit that's going to happen, and we check all the units, and you didn't lock your unit properly. So, you know, it's just slided over, bolted, and then it's got 2 holes. You drop your padlock in there and lock it. Well, apparently I locked it on the outside. I didn't think I did, but anyway, I must have. So I went over there the next day and properly locked it. So
any reason why he would come here? Does he have any other friends or close people that he would?
Well, I mean, he has a limited number of friends. I don't know, maybe he was going to hook up with one of them, Frank being one of them. It's the one I know that he's
Played Warhammer.
is closely associated with, and when he goes out, it's with him. And we haven't heard of anybody else that he's socializing with, so I'm assuming he would have gone out with Frank. But other than just gaining access to this house, and there's no way he would have broken in here, because impact window's not going to do that, and the front door not working, so he was screw glued and tattooed. I checked the car, you know, after the Northport Police left to see if there was any marks on the door, to see if he was tried to pry the car open, but nope, I didn't see any marks on it. So I guess he was here for an hour and 15 minutes or so before he had to make tracks to get back to Orlando, but have no idea what he did for that amount of time. Maybe he came down here thinking he would throw the police off. If they obviously found a way to track him or something, maybe they said, well, he disposed of the body or disposed of something down here, but have no idea. Other than just coming here and stealing something from us.
You don't know if he has his own credit cards or anything like that, do you?
He has one, maybe 2 credit cards at best that are his, and nothing else.
Okay.
I don't think he may have. I gave him access to a second Chase account that I set up for him, but it hasn't been used for whatever time. So if he has that, it doesn't have any money in the account. So other than that, that's the only thing I would know he had. I gave him he would have use of the gas card, but I made him fill it up and give me the card back, so he didn't have use of that.
What banks does he have? Chase and
Well, he has a second account that I set up, but he has his own account with Disney Partners.
Credit union or something?
Okay.
Yeah. We don't have any access to that, so I don't know what he's got in there, what he does.
Have you looked to see if there was any phone activity on your account that you pay for anytime during that Monday, Tuesday area?
I didn't look at his account. To answer your question, no. But then a Wednesday, since he didn't have his phone, I had a spare phone that I used for business, which I think you guys have, iPhone Mini, and I said, here, use this until you get your phone back. Again, thinking everything's innocent and what have you. And so I gave that to him around 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon and said, use this. And then we went downstairs and met with the detectives, and then they were escorted away. And then the last time I saw the phone, other than him calling me to tell me that the detective said when they pull into the Orange County Operations Center, they're going to go straight back. And I go, oh, okay. And I'm to go to the left and park out in front of the main building. We're going there for the press conference. And then I get there, and then I'm expecting to meet up with Jen and Stefan to go up to the press conference. And then when trying to reach them, Stefan's phone is dead at this point, it's turned off. Finally Jen responds to me, and they said they're making arrangements, go inside, you'll get a pass, they'll take you upstairs to the press conference. And by the time I got up there, it was over, and now I'm just trying to, where is everybody? But the only call that came in, because I wiped out everything that I could think of to wipe out, because if he's going to have access to that phone, like I've got my contacts in there where I put all my passwords and username and passwords. I know that's stored in passwords, but I want quick access to it or something, whatever, relevant information. What are you going to do?
No,
Just
stay.
yeah,
Stay.
just tell me quiet.
That'd be all
So, and then anything else that would have been confidential that I didn't want to have access to, I deleted off of there. Because I only expected them to use it for a short time, because the police said in the lobby, hey, we're going to give your phone back, we're going to give your car back. Well, I knew what that was about. They're going to escort him without handcuffing and what have you. They wanted him to be comfortable, what have you. So I didn't expect to lose my iPhone as a result of that.
Which you should be able to get that iPhone back, but I'll double check and let you know.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Yeah. Because I asked Alec about it. He said, well, it's being transferred to Kissimmee. And I said, well, this is going to be a slow process. So anyway.
No, we should be able to get you the iPhone back.
Yeah.
His other phone, no.
Oh, no. I would expect that, no.
What about the car?
The card, no.
No, yeah, we already know that. Yeah, I've already kissed that goodbye.
Okay.
We use that as a poodle ambulance.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
The silver card, because the dogs go to the vet, or if they have some surgeries, or the puppies or what have you. The back seat, could be smeared with puke, blood, and what else? But we call it the poodle ambulance.
When you gave Stephen this car to go to Kissimmee, clean inside?
No. It's the poodle ambulance. We're not going to have that car detailed. And then if he's using it, and of course Debbie had a bunch of her stuff in it, but no, that car was not clean.
Okay.
And I said, well, if forensics is going to go over that, I mean, I tried to tell somebody, I said, it's a poodle ambulance. There's going to be some leftover puke or blood or what have you that we weren't able to get out of the seats because they're perforated. So I hope somebody doesn't get too excited when they hit on something, but it's animal blood as far as I knew.
Okay. Have you talked to Stephen since he's been arrested?
No. We tried to set up a video visitation yesterday. It said we were confirmed. My iPad, my iPhone crashed a couple of times when I'm trying to get on, and then finally got it.
Flares yesterday.
What?
They said we had 3 solar flares yesterday. Facebook went offline, and a lot of Verizon went off, and some other, And I thought, well, maybe that's what kicked us off yesterday.
But when I finally got on it, he wasn't there, so, you know, I kind of expected that could have happened, because, again, you know, they gave me a warning, they said, you know, if he's not available, he's not gonna be available, and won't be there, but I figured since I had confirmation, but I haven't had any conversation whatsoever.
Have you talked with Jen since he's been arrested?
Last conversation, a text I had from her was when I asked her if she had gotten access back into the townhome, because if there was anything that Stefan had there, like supposedly he had his gun there, I wanted to get it out of there and away from harm and bring it back here where somebody else couldn't do anything with it. And I was making arrangements to do that, and she said yes, and then I didn't hear back from her after that, so she's gone dark on us.
Okay.
Has she lawyered up?
No.
No. Well,
She should.
she's avoiding me for whatever reason, because up until that point,
Well, we have her phone.
oh, you have her phone. Oh, okay.
So that may be one of the reasons that she's.
Well, if I'm sending you love notes, I'll be teasing. If I'm sending you messages, now I know that's why it's not going to answer. Because the last thing I got from her was, yes, she did, and then I sent her another message afterwards, trying to get some more information, and again, trying to make arrangements to get the gun out of there. Do you guys have the gun, or is it
Yeah,
still?
we have it.
Oh, okay, all right. All right,
No, so
at
that
least it's in
is
safe
the-
hands. What?
I'm sorry.
I said we'll never see that again either.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I'm just concerned that it's in safe hands. That's the
Yes.
only thing I was concerned about. I didn't want, because they have roommates there. I don't know who these people are. And somebody could take that, and I didn't want that to happen.
Have they ever talked about their roommates at all?
No.
No, we don't know
even
who
know if
they are.
there's sex. We don't even know if it's guys or girls.
Yeah.
Now, did Jen ever talk to you about Sunday night after the party?
Regarding what?
Regarding the fact that there was probably drinking with the adults at the party, that she and Stefan would definitely have been vaping, that her meds were not working, and Sunday night when she went to bed with Maddie and Stefan was in Maddie's room to sleep, that she woke up with a headache, and she told Maddie, and she told us, she told Maddie to go sleep with Stefan in her room. And
In her room or his room?
And when
His room.
Okay.
he was sleeping in Maddie's room, and she sent him, she specifically said, because she told her, she says, I told her to go sleep with Stefan. And I was like the antenna popped up, and I said, what a stupid thing to do. Why would you do that? You've got plenty of room on your bed. Why would you send Maddie in there to go on a single bed with Stefan? It didn't make sense to me.
Do you know if they've ever talked about that in the past, that they would allow Maddie and Stefan to sleep in the same room together, or the three of them sleep in the same
That was the first time I'd heard
bed?
of that. That was the first time I'd heard that. But when she started talking about Maddie coming and sleeping with them at night, climbing in bed with them at night, and then Maddie told me, that's where she told me, she says, yeah, I was sleeping with Mom and Dad, and I rolled over, and I ended up with my leg over Stefan's leg, and she giggled about it, and I was like going, that was the second time. I said, and I told Jen, I said, listen, she's getting too old to do this. She's too old to share a bed with you. Don't do it anymore. I said, if you have to lock your bedroom door so she can't come in when you guys are asleep, then you need to do that. I said, I can understand a toddler. I can understand it up until about 5 years old. But after that, I mean, this is ridiculous. So I was very upset about that, and that's one of the other reasons we wanted him home. I just wanted him out of that environment.
I want to go back to the medication that Stefan. So Stefan on Saturday asked you if you had any of medicine to calm his anxiety.
Right.
Did he have prescription medication that just wasn't filled, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he didn't have any medicine to take to Kissimmee.
No, not that we're aware of. And one of the things I was pressing hard with Stefan when he left Disney, I said, talk to Human Resources to get your insurance coverage after you leave, because you need it for prescriptions. And so up until 2 weeks ago, I'm assuming he had enough medication to get him through, but he needed some medication, so we're trying to get him back on insurance, which I did. And then there was a waiting period of a few days that we were supposed to call in and then arrange to get his prescription filled. He contacted the doctor, supposedly, because I told him to, and there would have been a prescription waiting for him, but it never got filled.
Gotcha. Okay.
When did he start taking prescription medication? Do you remember?
He started taking Adderall when he was a child. I mean, he has a TBI, and so he was on an IEP through school, individual education program. He went to special classes. He was hit by a truck when he was 8, hit in the back of the head with the bumper, run over his torso, and then the guy heard everybody screaming, put the car drive and drove back over him, got him in the front of the head. And then, so he...
Well, how long has he been seeing the psychiatrist, psychologist?
Counselor there,
Yeah, counselor.
about 4 years.
So she was prescribing medications for him at least 4 or 5 years ago, whenever he started going to counseling.
So when you last saw him on Saturday and he's having this episode, the next time you see him is Tuesday night, going into Wednesday?
Wednesday morning, 2:15.
Early in the morning.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Change in his demeanor, I'm assuming, was different?
Just very stoic, no emotions. Again, I'm attributing to maybe medication he's taking and the fact that...
Where would he get that medication? From Jen, if he was going to take it?
Yeah, that Jen said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I have some meds here he could use."
And then the fact that we're now looking at early Wednesday morning, now going back to 5 o'clock, well, actually even sooner than that, since he knew the true events. So from that Monday afternoon or sometime Monday all the way to Wednesday early morning, I don't know how much sleep he's had. I know he's been under a lot of pressure, obviously, from questioning and interviews and what have you. So I didn't expect to see much of him, much other than just being somewhat stoic, kind of zombie, out of it. That's when when I left him in his room, he was sitting in a chair. And matter of fact, I remember hearing a comment with Jen when I was talking to him. They were driving over to the hotel. She's yelling at him to wake up because he was sleeping in the car. And when I left him in this room, sitting in that chair, he looked like a guy that was going to pass out. And to hear that he drove down to Northport and back shocks the shit out of me. Unbelievable. So, the guy was like out of it. And where he came up with all that energy to do that. And then when he comes back to the hotel room, he's got an energy drink, and then he immediately crawls into bed, and he is dead to the world. You can't wake him up. And it's like, all these hours and everything else finally caught up to him, but there was no waking him up. He was passed out.
Okay. Jeremy?
I seriously don't know what he would have done if he'd had access to the house. But what he didn't realize is that when Chris leaves, this house gets locked up like Fort Worth, like Fort Knox, whatever it is. But because I never lock that door because it's a pain in the butt to get it up into the security position. And Elliot dislocated my thumb, so not one of these dogs are ripped a tendon. So I'm right-handed, so it's even harder. But I did do that because I don't know.
I do want to touch that. When Northport was here, apparently they were given a computer. Is that
I
right?
gave him a computer.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there was a desktop computer sitting here, tower. And I told Alex, I said, hey, he's got a tower unit here, desktop. I said, you guys want it? And they said, yeah, we'll probably do that. And so, again, I reminded Northport Police that it was here, so I gave it to them.
Okay.
Do you know what Stefan's dominant hand is?
What is what?
Dominant hand
Right.
is right. A couple questions. I know you mentioned part of his childhood and having that traumatic car crash. What else was his childhood like? Did he have a pretty normal childhood? Did he have siblings? Only child?
Well, he has an older brother that was in the Navy, but,
They're 11 years apart. So it's basically like having raised 2 single children.
Okay.
because of the age separation and what have you, I mean, his older brother, they weren't very close because of the age difference. So his older brother was never around that much.
Well,
Okay.
he joined the Navy right out of high school. He and a few of his friends, and they've done wonderful with their lives. But yeah, no, he loves animals. Always picking stuff up and bringing it home. Would not do a single chore around the farm when we had the farm.
Is he a
Participated-
clean? Is he a clean
What?
type
Oh.
person, or
No, Jesus God, no, he's lived in a
Did he
pigsty.
use the C word? Clean? No. If always a challenge to get him to pick up his room. Always.
I was going to surprise him and put a hazmat sticker across his door, because I opened it and looked at it and shut the door again and said, "Not going in there." So then I offered to help him clean his room. I said, "Look, it's hard when it's that bad to even know where to start." I said, "I will help you."
You know, we tried to
Yeah.
encourage him for sports. He played baseball, like
He ran track.
but you know, he seemed fine as a kid growing up, and I don't know, maybe later this brain injury started.
He did not have very close friends. He had a couple of close friends and some acquaintances, but those were the only ones. And he took Shotokan karate with Brian. They got up to a brown belt.
How were his emotions as a kid?
Volatile, but also, I mean, even in kindergarten, before the accident, he didn't participate with the other kids a lot. He would rather go and make up his own game and do his own thing than that. Has a very high IQ. He's very intelligent, and I think that I was in college at the time too, trying to finish my degree, and I had all my books, oceanography and stuff like that, and he was interested. And when he was little, he was looking at my college textbooks, and I taught him to read. And he was reading at probably a 5th or 6th grade level when he went into 1st grade. He has a marvelous vocabulary. He has a great mind for history. If something interests him, he goes all in to research it. So
Yeah, if he's passionate about something, he will
Put the effort in.
focus.
he becomes an expert
He
real
got
quick.
Became passionate about whiskeys. Ask him anything about whiskeys. Ask him anything about teas. I said, Steph, go to the liquor store, and if you got this much knowledge, put it to use. Then you get involved in these games and what have you. But boy, if he got focused on something, laser focus, and that really at an early age, because we came down from Georgia to Disney World, and he got the key to the liquor bar,
Minibar.
and he stayed there focused until he got that key and unlocked it at 3 years old. I mean, he was like that laser
He
focused.
didn't want liquor, he wanted candy.
Yeah. But he was.
the expensive candy that's in those?
Well,
Yeah.
he was very, very vocal with us that he wanted more candy, because we bribed him with candy all the way down on the plane. We were waiting for the car to come to get the car seat put in, jump seat for him. And I'm gonna let you tell it because I started laughing.
So we're in the car. We're on the way to this dinner, and he's in the back seat wearing a sailor suit. And I
It's
want
cute.
candy. No, Stefan, I'm looking at the rearview mirror. No, Stefan, you can't. We're on the way to dinner. Don't want to spoil dinner. I want candy. No, you can't have candy. And he goes, I looked in my rearview mirror, looked at her, and just started laughing. And I said, no candy. And so everybody's complimenting how cute he looks and what have you. So I got to tell you a cute story. He had obsessed with stuff sometimes, but
And I am loud. When I'm frustrated, I yell. I don't scream. Somebody told us that I'm a screamer. I don't scream, I yell. If they want to hear a scream, I'll show them a scream. But,
she's Irish.
yes,
Do not upset the Irish.
I am Irish. I have an Irish temper. I go from 0 to below real quick. And I do yell. I do not beat. did not abuse him physically, but I yelled. Most of the time I'd be yelling from one room to another, but I yelled.
A former DI in
Joel
the
Stefan.
Air Force,
Yeah.
and she tried that on me very early in our marriage, and I said, no, sorry, I'm not gonna fall for that. You know?
We made a pact when we got married, because we got married, we didn't know each other. We knew each other for 5 weeks on the phone. We met again at our 10-year high school reunion. Got married 6 weeks later. I was in California, he was in Georgia. Back then, the rates changed at 8 o'clock, my time, 11 o'clock his time, and he'd call me. So we did our courting on the phone, and he came, we got married, drove cross country in my 240Z packed to the gills.
240Z.
A lot of fun.
I fly out to California, she's got all these boxes piled up in the family room. I go, what's that? That's going with us. 240Z. I said, let me tell you what's going in there. Cases of Coors, because you can get Coors west of the Rockies, or east of the Rockies, and my golf clubs. But these boxes are not going to fit in that 240Z. It's just you, me, the beer, and the golf clubs. That's it. And we drove cross country in that thing.
Wow.
But anyway,
But
we digress.
yeah,
So anyway.
he told me, he says, whatever you do to me, I'll go back to you, because I slapped him once.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you want me to slap you back? I said, no. He said, then don't slap me. He said, so whatever you do to me, I'm going to do to you. So the next time I got mad, I dumped popcorn on his head.
Mm-hmm.
He picked up the bowl, some left, he dumped it on my head. I said, all right, I get it. I get it. I get it. And we have never, we don't fight like that anymore. We sit down and talk when we're calm enough to finally sit down and talk.
Right.
There's a lot of
We
me
have a
going in my
blow
room
up,
and
5
saying
minutes
this.
later it's over.
Yeah.
You know, forgotten about it.
No, there's no grudges held. But with him, it's you never know. It's like my mother. You never know when something's going to trigger him that reminds him of something he was mad at you before, and then he gets mad about that all over again. And she did too. I don't see any reason to do that, but
Tell me about his relationships growing up as far as intimate. Do you guys know anything about those? Did he date much?
I know some. I know.
She would know more than me.
Okay, his first real love was Kendall, and that was in California. And that's
What age was that?
High school.
yeah,
High school?
Yeah.
early high school, like freshman year,
Okay.
freshman.
Yeah, 15, 16.
Yeah, and that was we loved Kendall, and Kendall loved him. He loved her. That was the only reason he didn't want to leave California, was because Kendall was going to be there. And
Were they the same age?
yes,
Yes.
And then when we came to Florida, there was this
crazy girl.
other relationships that were just short, nothing.
Nothing long term.
Yeah, just cycled through a bunch of girls, and the guys he was hanging out with didn't approve of him because they just seemed like no motivation, no drive. I grew up with the. I grew up in Winter Park. I hung out with the elite people
Athletes.
in Winter Park. The Showalters and the Manellos and what have you. I worked at the hardware store, Miller Hardware in Winter Park, and so, I had drive. I wanted to get ahead, and I associated with the better crowd of kids. He never did. I never approved them. They were just lazy, looking for the next party, looking for the next hit of marijuana. But so there was just a cycle of those people all the time. But nobody steady that they were aware of.
You could bargain with him. All of his friends were getting tattoos. Chase decided that they were all going to get branded with 521, their 521 club in Windermere. He has a brand on his side. They did it with coat hangers. And I said, if you promise not to get tattoos, then for your 18th birthday, I will take you to a tattoo parlor, and I will get you something that's meaningful. You don't want Dice or Popeye or something stupid that you're going to wear when you're 70. I said, what do you want? He said, I want the coat of arms. I said, I will do that for you. but you let me pick the tattoo parlor because I wanna make sure they're clean, they're reputable, and I will pay for it. And he did. And he didn't get any other tattoos beyond that. It's on his right back shoulder. And I said, and don't put it someplace where it's obvious.
I know you said that you didn't necessarily approve of some of these friendships, and then you
Yeah.
said he dated a crazy girl or one or two.
She was crazy.
Were there any inappropriate relationships with
Young?
females? Yeah,
No,
no.
Yeah.
never.
Did you ever see a change in what he was attracted to?
No.
No.
Well, I didn't even know
No.
what he was attracted to.
He
Really.
was attracted to boobs,
Yeah, but I don't know what he was attracted to.
big boobs.
It was very. I can't recall other than one or two girls at our house, but there were groups of people when that was there. But I don't even know who he dated and per se. I mean, there was one girl that was a steady for a while, but other than that, I don't know who he dated because he dated outside the house and they didn't come to our house.
He didn't date, he had hookups.
Well, whatever.
And the thing is that the girls initiated them. They were calling him all the time. He wasn't calling them. And then his wingman, Chase, was laughing one day. He said, boy, I'm glad Stefan's my friend. I said, why? He says, because he attracts all the girls and I get the ones he doesn't want.
What's Chase's last name?
Leonard.
Leonard?
Leonard.
Do you know-
Leonard.
Yeah,
Right name.
Leonard.
Okay.
Leonard. Leonard.
He live around here, or
Oh, he lives. I don't know where he lives, but he
He
Lives
was
in Windermere.
Windermere.
oh, okay.
Or
was living
Orlando.
in whatever.
He called into that awful website, Gray Hughes Investigations.
He called
on
into it?
YouTube. He called into it. People are calling into it, saying stuff about him I've never heard, never witnessed, never known, and I am being flayed, because, as I said, I'm a yeller, but I never did anything bad to that kid. I didn't do anything bad to any of them except save them.
We touched on Stefan and Jen's relationship.
Yep.
Tell us about Stefan and Maddie's relationship.
Maddie called him dad. The last time that they were here, Stefan was sitting in this chair. Jen was here. Maddie was on that side, and she was leaning over with her arm around Stefan's shoulders and petting him with her hand, you know, because she was getting ready to go to sleep. So she came in to get her hugs and kisses goodnight from everybody. I mean, he didn't really interact with her.
In front of you guys.
Right.
Right.
Did she act that way towards Jen too? That same time?
She came and got a hug and kiss from Jen too.
Okay.
She even gave, when I came into bed, she gave me a hug goodnight too. That was it.
Did you see any changes in Maddie over the years, in her personality?
No, we were talking about that the other night. It's like there was nothing visible, noticeable about it, change in her attitude, demeanor, what have you. And again, we hadn't seen Maddie since maybe early 23. I think at the same time Jen got her car. They came down for a night. Didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. Seemed like all the experiences that we had observed in the past. You know, happy kid, playing with the dogs, and either watching TV in there, going to bed, or floating around in here.
Did you know her to be on prescription medication?
No, I
No.
didn't know. No, not at that time. She was just starting it. That was something that was worrying Jen a lot. She was just starting to show
Some
the
of this-
bipolar, and they thought that was why she was becoming so combative with Jen.
I know you touched on it earlier, but you said Stefan didn't have that, to your knowledge, Stefan didn't have access to your storage unit.
No.
To my what?
So
To your
No,
knowledge.
to my storage unit. No,
Who all has access to it? Just you.
just me.
I don't
Okay.
even have a key to it.
And when I ask access, is it a code to get into the secured gate and then a padlock?
Yes,
Okay, and only you have those codes.
I have the code. It's in my phone as a contact record.
Mhm.
But as far as I know, he didn't have that code. Now I am missing a key and have been missing the second key for over a year. So when they first started telling me about he came down to access the unit, I started thinking, well, that explains where the other key is then. But I could have lost it, but I have no idea where the key is. And the only way to know whether or not anybody else accessed that is if the storage unit printed out it, and because I don't access it that often.
So I was here the morning that the storage unit was searched. Is there anything of like tremendous value in there? I know there's a bunch of bins and I see a few suitcases and stuff like that.
Yeah, just overflow from the garage.
Some Christmas
I was going to go over and look to see if anything had been moved, because I couldn't imagine Stefan going in there. There should have been a bunch of dog crates piled up, and it's packed, other than just a small section between the bulk stuff and the racks that I have there where I have access to.
On the right.
He did have some boxes of his stuff, but it
Yes,
was
but
like
it's
dishes
way
and
so
stuff.
far back that he would have to empty the whole storage unit out to get it.
Okay.
Back in the left-hand corner. I said, well, that's too much work. He wouldn't be willing to do that much work. Has a W in the word, he wouldn't do it.
Did you guys ever witness or hear him looking up inappropriate stuff on the internet?
I have no idea, because we never had access to his rooms.
He didn't use our computers, he had his own.
Obviously his room is over here.
That
Do you
one.
mind if we look?
Yeah,
Go
it's a
for it.
mess.
Is it the same way it was, pretty much?
No, we started cleaning it out
Cleaning.
because it's just, he's existed in there, we haven't touched that room. At this point, he said, well, there's no way in hell he's ever coming back here, we're just gonna gain access back to this
We
room and
gave
claim it as ours.
the other police complete access to it before we touched anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I had thrown away, the trash off of his big table, I had left there in a bag, and I said, this is all I have done at this point, and if you want to go through the bag, you do it, you know?
So we're just getting rid of clothes and then trash that's in there, and then, like I said, it's going to take a while for us just to get in there and sort it out and figure out if there's anything of value that could be sold, and so, but it's pretty much the same mess that he left it in.
That's all I have for now.
I got the floor swept a little bit, but
You mind if we take a picture of it when we go?
Oh, yeah, if you want to, go ahead.
Do you mind if I take a picture of your notepad? Of your
Well,
notes?
I'll just give you the notes.
Do you have more?
No.
you want to just make a copy of them? In case somebody else wants to know the same information.
Oh, I can go do that. Okay to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have the original pictures of the room before I touched it, if you want to see those, or I can send you copies of it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let me give you my card. There's my card. If you want to email them to me, that'll probably be the easiest.
I took pictures because it was so disgusting. It'll take a while. I've got a week's worth of pictures on.
Yeah,
it.
no worries.
I do a lot of pictures. Do either of you like Trump?
I'd rather hold my opinion to myself, especially being on the record.
I'm not going to say it on the record. I was just going to show you something cute.
Can I make a personal observation?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What are you showing?
That is funny.
Oh,
It
so when this thing came down Wednesday afternoon, we meet with the detectives and then personal escort, what have you, and then everything goes dark at 4 o'clock. 4:04, I get a text message finally I get a text message from Jen trying to figure out what the F is going on. And she texted me and said, get Stefan a lawyer now. Okay. Why? And then she says, well, they have found these images on Stefan's phone that there's sex acts between Maddie and Stefan. And I go, I like disbelief and go, okay. And I asked her how long, and she said 2 years. And she said something to the effect, like he needs a lawyer up. And I thought that was just really weird. And so a few hours later, she finally comes out of the. I'm communicating with her before this, and I said I got to go get something to eat, and got to use the restroom. The station's locked up. I can't get in. And she said, well, they said go up to a Wawa or something. I said okay. And the next thing you know, no, they're going to let me out and go to get something to eat. So she comes out, and demeanor is just matter of factly, everything's fine. And we get in the car, and we're talking, and we go to get something to eat. And I kept thinking, this is a woman who just learned that her child had been sexually abused for the last 2 years, and she's acting towards me like nothing's happened. And it's like another day, another evening out, we're just spending time together. That entire time, and then I take her back to the police station, and then she's done with her interview. The detectives come out and say, hey, we want to talk with you. I said, fine, there's somebody going to have a conversation with me. Arrange for her to get in the car to stay with Sailor, and I go up and have my conversation with Alex, and then I go back to the car, and I'm going to take her back home because she needs a ride home. And even her demeanor of coming out with the detectives is just like, everything's fine. And
did she act like that during previous contacts with you guys, whether it be last month, last year? Was it the same kind of interaction?
Yeah. If anything, this is the most interaction I've ever had with her. Because when she came here, I never really interacted with her unless we're having a meal together. And so we're leaving, and I'm taking her home, and I kept thinking as we're talking, I'm expecting her to just blow up and start beating the shit out of me, or scratching me, or chewing my ass out. But no, none of that. I kept waiting for something to explode. As a matter of fact, as we're leaving, before we went downstairs to the lobby, Stefan handed me his pocket knife and said, you better hang on to this. That's okay. And then I threw it into the console of my car as I'm leaving. I look down and I see this knife, and I go, call Alex and say, hey, Stefan gave me his knife that's got it in the console. Maybe you should have it. So I swung back around and took it to her, and I didn't get any questioning from her. What are you doing that for? I kind of expected that, but I didn't. Ran to the piece of paper, gave it to Alex, gave him a statement, and we left. Took her back, and everything, she's acting just too normal. It doesn't seem, it's acting abnormal because she shouldn't be that way. Her demeanor should be entirely different. And then she goes on to tell me that Stefan was sexually frustrated because she and Stefan were not having sex. Her medication changed. She didn't have any interest in sex, and so there was no sexual engagement between the two of them. And I said, well, this is really unusual conversation to hear this from a mother that, if you ask anybody else, what would your reaction to be? I said, I would be batshit crazy beating somebody up. And that was not the case. And then I saw the interview. And I said, I keep thinking, if I saw that interview Tuesday and they called me, I said, no effing way would I have gone to Orlando, because I would have seen for myself like everybody else did on YouTube. They weren't buying the story. And what I saw Stefan doing was a repeat of what he had talked to me about on Monday evening.
Video
And,
pictures.
Thank you.
I was just, I couldn't, her mannerisms were exactly what I saw and observed Wednesday evening, you know,
Okay.
if not even better, you know. I was just in disbelief as to how how she spoke and how she handled herself at the point where the bird came into the scene and was squawking or doing whatever, and everybody paused and you waited, and then it stopped, and then she smiled, and I said, boy, that's an unusual response to smile about this bird. And I said, the beater was just way off. But then, you know, it carried forward into Wednesday. I don't think I would have come up, but then I wouldn't have learned some other things about her had an outcome. But it's like, why was I brought to Orlando? Unless to get me out of the house.
Which left me here alone.
So I have no idea, but
So you watched his interview that he gave to the news, right?
Yeah.
Because you said that was roughly what he told you on the phone.
Yeah.
What was his reaction like to you? Did it seem genuine? Did it seem...
You know, it was very difficult to tell when he was... I could never tell if he was lying to me or not. I mean, it was very difficult. I just... At one point, I just said, you know what? If his lips are moving, he's lying, and I'll never get the truth out of him, and there's no way of breaking him. You know, we're missing a Rolex. You know, where did that go?
My father's Rolex.
So, you know, he would never fess up to that. And again, where did all this money come from? Where's his Omega watch? You know, so I'm assuming where all this money was coming from is that maybe he sold off his Omega and maybe sold off the Rolex, which I find shocking. He would sell that Rolex first before he would sell his Omega, because that's how much he cherished that watch. He inherited some money and immediately went out and spent $7,000 on a watch like he really needed to. You know, so I have no idea where that was. But he was very impulsive. He couldn't wait. You know, if he wanted something somehow, some way, he got it.
Do you guys have ties to St. Cloud?
No.
No.
We did what?
St. Cloud. No,
St.
we
Cloud.
have no ties to St.
No
Cloud.
ties to St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Any reason why he would have went there?
I have no idea. Other than the fact that maybe he's just trying to get as far away as possible. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, based on what I've seen on TV, I can see where the flat occurred and where he had to drive, I guess, 2 miles back to the hard surface. And maybe something happened. He drove that rubber right off that wheel. I have no idea why he was down there.
Obviously not an easy question. Do you think he was capable of doing what he did?
I would, if you had asked me Sunday, I would have said no. Never in a million years. He loved that child. It was supposed to be his stepdaughter if they stayed together. He helped raise her. He was not allowed to discipline her. Maddie did that. Jen did that. But he acted as a peacekeeper. But no. And to kill her? No. I think if I had to put forward a guess, I would think that it was accidental. I think that, I know it's stupid. Yes, I'm Irish, and yes, I've had dreams that are precognition. Yes, they come true, but I did have a dream, and in that dream, they were in Stefan's room and in Maddie's room, unclothed. Jen came in to wake her up, was confronted by the fact that they were together in a way they shouldn't have been, and I think a struggle ensued, and she either hit her head or broke her neck. So I don't think there was couldn't have been a gunshot because everybody would have heard it. I think stabbing, you'd have found blood. So that's the only thing I can think, and that then as she would have told Stefan, and in my agreement was, this is all your fault. You caused this. This is all your fault. You have to fix it.
We think he's being the front person on this and falling on the sword, and Jen's definitely complicit in this in some way. That's what we think.
So then you believe that Jen would have prioritized your son more than her own daughter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Because she didn't have anybody else.
Oh, I think they made a pact.
I think they
And again,
decided who was going to
you
do
look
what.
at her hugging him and consoling him at that interview, you know, knowing full well what the truth is, And I think Stefan's decided to be the fall guy in this because he's feeling remorse over the inappropriate relationship he had with Maddie, and that since, you know, if he's going to be discovered in this, that he's going to be the front guy in this. But she's just as culpable as he is in this.
The other thing is that as a mother, I have seen that child cry. You do not fake the sound in his voice, the clogged sinuses that he was dealing with. The man was sick. No. I don't know if she just feels vindicated that she took care of it. I don't know, but I know that he's the only one that's feeling any remorse or any sorrow for that child, and she is not.
I told Debbie when I left Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, I said, you know, do we really know our son? Because at that point, I didn't know what to question. But
Apparently not, from some of the stuff that's coming out of these calls into Gray Hughes.
yeah, but anyway,
I mean, stuff that one kid said that we were providing him with Hustler magazines. We've never had a Hustler magazine in our house. We don't have booze in our house unless it's for people to come to visit. We don't drink. We don't do drugs. Don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Quit those before I got pregnant with him.
yeah. But just a lot of it, you know, connecting the dots after their visit, what have you, and then seeing that interview, I was like blown away by that interview. So,
I think people are making some crap up just to be sensational.
yeah.
It's the internet. You gotta take it for what it's worth.
You know, just
When do you think, well, I don't know if you can tell us or not. I mean, I see 3 milestones coming up that we have to prepare for the backlash. The autopsy, obviously the charges that come out afterwards, and then if the other shoe drops with Jen, you know, and hopefully that happens where it diffuses some of this to where it needs to go as well.
I can answer one of those questions. The autopsy is done. Autopsy was done Saturday. But as for the other two, we can't really.
The top of the heap.
I know you guys had to get your act together on that because that obviously is very important to the case in getting all that put together.
You're not going to tell us how she died, are you?
Can't.
Or when?
Can't.
No, they can't do that. No, can't do that.
When everything comes to an ending,
we need a heads
we
up
will.
because we've already had people coming to the door with microphones and crap and vans out front, and I'm getting hate mail, hate texts, hate phone calls. People saying some pretty awful things to me about being a rotten mother, and
what we've explained to others that we have interviewed, we can't tell you guys what to do. All that we can do is ask, is it if media contacts you or something like that, you don't want to contact them, direct them towards us. And then we will do, our department will handle the media stuff.
Northport's been great. They've actually stepped up their
drive-bys.
patrol units here. They know what we're up against, so they've been very helpful.
well, the Landrys were here, so they've been through this before in the last 2 years.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Isn't that strange? Tiny little Northport where people go to die. This is God's waiting room, you know. A bunch of old farts here, and we have 2 murders.
Well, it wasn't here.
It wasn't. No, it didn't happen here, but still,
Yeah.
they're tracing the parents to Northport. Well, the Landry kid came home and they helped him, so that's a little bit different. But still, I don't want to feel like I have to look over my shoulder all the time. I don't want to feel like I have a target on me. It's you have to have nails to get that out. You want me to get it out for you?
I got it.
Well, like I said, I really do appreciate you guys speaking with us. Since our conversations were recorded, you swear everything that you told us was true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
To the best of
Yes.
our knowledge.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I knew there was a reason there were 3.